What are the skills that we need and what profiles of sales consultants do we need in the dealerships to cater to today's consumer and the one that is evolving?
We need to be empathic. We need to be listening. We need to be inquisitive, ask questions. We really need to listen to customers and adapt and personalize. But you also need the hard skills. You need to know what you're selling, and the product knowledge is extremely important. You really need to also love what you're selling. So the expertise, I would say, is equally as important as the soft skills. That sense of community is very important today. People do want to feel a sense of belonging, and people from all walks of life gather together for the same passion. That is really powerful.
Welcome to our new episode of the Luxury Edit. My name is Clément Barthélémy. I'm the EVP with CXG, a consultancy specialized in retail performance and customer experience across luxury and premium segments. We're in London today for a new episode of the Luxury Edit, in which we'll be once again decoding CX, meaning try to break down customer experience strategies that lead to brand success and to outstanding client experiences. I've been myself very privileged advising a number of top luxury brands and witnessing firsthand how they have tried intentionally, sometimes failed, often succeeded to create a client-centric transformation within their organizations. My guest, who I'm over the moon to host today, Maryam Djavadi, has also facilitated this client-centric transformation. Today, and since 2024, Maryam, you work for a very renowned luxury automotive brand, Porsche. You serve as a vice president of business excellence. You've had an interesting transition from 20 years in the fashion industry to the automotive sector. In the fashion industry, you served executive roles at Chanel, Bottega Veneta, Selfridges. And so today, we'll be talking about the new reality of customer experience in the field of automotive and the paradigm shift we are in. Welcome, Maryam. Thank you very much for being with us on the Luxury Edit podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. What an introduction. Thank you.
So let's start with the transition I just mentioned, Maryam, which I'm sure was quite a shift from 20 plus years spent in the fashion capitals of Europe, Milan, London, to name a few, to the very factory-driven atmosphere of Stuttgart, of Zuffenhausen.
Yes.
Tell us a bit how this change was perceived within maybe your peers in fashion, but also with your new colleagues in the automotive sector.
So the transition happened quite organically, quite surprisingly for many, as you mentioned. Is quite different. Not many of us that do that transition between fashion and the car industry. But for me, it really made sense, especially for such an iconic brand. I was very, very blessed to be approached by Porsche. So it was surprising for some of my peers on both sides, I think, because it hasn't happened often. And it still doesn't happen often. I think it's a shame. We should do more of this transition because there are quite a few similarities between the two worlds, especially as we are here focusing on customer experience. You know, I think we touch a lot of lives in a similar way. So for me, even though it took me a little while to take that decision, once I took that decision, it completely made sense. And I'm so happy that I made that decision.
Beautiful.
Really.
Beautiful. And we've seen the opposite move, right? From automotive to fashion.
Absolutely.
Not to name Kering and Luca De Meo and a number of executives that have also made a similar shift, right? So
absolutely.
What do you mean by synergies and perhaps what fashion can learn from automotive can learn from fashion?
Well, the similarities, I would say, are the customer experience. It's not equal because we have different products, but we are touching emotions. You know, when you drive a Porsche, when you drive a sports car, when you are buying a handmade handbag made by hand in Italy or in France, there is something quite emotional, you know, when you feel that. It's not just about a trend, it's really something that's beyond that, whether it's the craftsmanship, the heritage of the brand, the experience, the ecosystem around it. And in that sense, there are many similarities like that. So we're touching emotions. There is something that's very precious about it. It's not really about convenience, although we need to also be convenient. So these are perhaps the similarities. And as much as there are synergies, there are also differences. The fashion industry is probably more based on a direct sales business model, whereas the car industry and where I am today is predominantly an indirect business model. So that makes the distribution different. But where we are in Porsche, we are very lucky to work with very loyal and strong retail partners. But it is slightly different in that sense, yes.
No, it's probably the biggest difference that you have to cope with, right, in your daily job. Would it be fair to say that about 90% of the distribution in fashion is direct to consumer?
Depends on the brand. Depends on the brand.
Whereas in the automotive sector, it would be almost the opposite, of course.
Give or take.
On average,
Absolutely. This is probably one of the biggest differences. But also the other difference I would say was for me the biggest one was the speed. And I don't mean that in a detrimental way towards the car industry. It's just the nature of the business, the complexity of the product. You know it very well. From a fashion point of view, from the time of a start of a collection to the time it's in a boutique, we're looking at approximately 9 months, roughly. In the car industry, it's years. And that's down to the complexity of the product. So it is not to say we need to copy and paste, because you cannot do that. These are the differences. But I would probably say that the timing in which you have the creation in fashion allows for a little bit more room for error, simply because of the speed of it. And I would say that's also one of the differences that I noticed.
Yes. And I guess one of your responsibilities stepping to that role is also to bring that hospitality, luxury. I know this is a concept that can be debatable, right? But to this industry, right? And you just mentioned it, fashion probably be a bit more fast changing in terms of that seasonal business.
Yes.
A bit more emotion centric at the beginning of it, right? What would you say? I mean, how would you bring that hospitality, that luxury mindset in an engineering driven industry and organization?
Well, actually, I wouldn't do a copy and paste, as I mentioned before, and nor should we do it. The car industry has a very strong heritage. And what we need to do is to continuously reinforce that heritage and the strength of the brand. Luxury is not just one way. Luxury is about that pleasure that you get. It's about quality. It's about moments that trigger these goosebumps. So my aim is really just to be reflective of the brand and its DNA, and continuously improve and elevate, have unexpected moments for customers. These are the little things that make a difference. But it definitely does. I know I keep going on about emotions, but whereas in the world of fashion, the experiences are often at the point of sale. There are some outside as well, like the fashion shows. In the car industry, you have also driving experiences that are absolutely unbelievable. So there are different ways to bring this aspect of luxury. It should be really aligned with the values and the codes of the house. That's really important. We should never copy and paste what happens elsewhere. I think we need to be really true to ourselves.
And how do you manage that, going back to that distribution reality of the automotive sector, through such a diverse range of partners, importers, distributors, where, that usual balance between consistency and being true to our values, but also that local adjustment that you need. How do you balance that with such a diverse array of partners in the mix?
Yeah, I mean, we are very lucky to have a very strong retail partners around the world, and we work really well with them. Our aim is just to be an enabler, as we do as well when it's a direct sales. And I think when partners see that it's an enabler and a support, they would tend to go with it. So we bring new tools, we bring new programs, new qualification, trainings, new retail formats, or shall I say an evolution of the retail format to support this evolution in the consumer behavior. But it actually works quite well because we have very strong partnership with our retail partners. So that helps. And the fact that it's global, that also happens in fashion. The truth is a customer in Japan would be different to a customer in Miami or in customer in London where we are today. And we should be mindful of these cultural differences. As we should be in fashion, we should also be in the car industry, and we are. So it's never, I think what is important is to have consistency. What is important is to have the fil rouge, but allow for flexibility and agility around the world. And our aim is to continuously do that. And to answer your question, going rounded, I think when we show that it's an enabler and a support and it's only beneficial, we get that sponsorship. Okay. Yeah.
Excellent. So we just laid the foundation, let's say, of what are the specifics of distribution and how customer experience needs to work around that distribution model in your industry. I want to zoom in a little bit on the massive transformation that the industry is facing at the moment. We've heard of consumers having new needs, new expectations, a push for many brands towards a more diverse client, a younger customer. Mm-hmm. I think I came across a pretty telling stat around the Rolls-Royce typical customer who went from 60 to 43 years old in just a decade. So certainly a huge transformation of that consumer base, not to mention also a feminization of that consumer. My question to you, Maryam, is how does the car industry need to change to really cater to that new consumer? And yeah, how do you see this being a way to capture that new client and engage them better?
I think first off, we need to be authentic. And that for me should be the driving principle in whatever we try to do. If you're authentic to yourself, if we're authentic to our brand, it's a lot easier than trying to bend or trying to follow a trend, which doesn't mean we should be complacent. As you mentioned, many car industry brands are actively looking to attract new younger customer or female customers, and we continuously want to attract new target groups. Our core customers are really important to us. We want to continue to pamper them and cater for them. But as you mentioned, we also need to look for the evolution and these new target groups. So we try to do it in different ways. For example, we are opening new retail formats or new point of sales in inner cities. We call them studios, for example, where we know that is perhaps more attractive for a younger clientele or female-driven customers. But we don't try to be gimmicky. We don't want to feminize the brand. I think we are true to ourselves. It's important to attract customers who enjoy what we're about. And it's a sports core company that really has got amazing design, exclusivity, quality, etc. So the importance of everything we do is to be true to ourselves without being complacent. And it's that balance to have.
Understood. You recently come across a brand that is being established as we speak called Decora. Maybe you've heard of it.
No.
It will be the first brand ever founded by a female founder and CEO. And she is trying to really revolutionize the design of the car, saying that the main need of a female driver is not just a sense of safety and going beyond this very simplistic approach that one may think about. So seeing how this is really reshaping the market, I think in the years to come will be really interesting. So
yes, I mean there should be something for everyone, and I would really like to know more about this brand. I think whilst I think there is a need to have a variety of offer for all sorts of customers, I think it's important to really stay true to who we are. And we are, for example, a motorsports, a car, sports car company. And there are many women that like that. And I think that what we need to do is to pass that line of it is also for women. It is when you are on a race course, and I told you this a few days ago, it is such a sensation that I don't believe a woman wouldn't like. I think a woman would also enjoy that. So we should speak to women being genuine, and also, I believe, speaking to them in terms of the product we can offer. I really believe that a lot of women would and are enjoying this performance-driven car as well. And if anything, as a woman, personally, I don't always enjoy when I see brands that are trying to feminize the brand. I think we are more than one aspect. And I genuinely believe that we can speak to different target groups, but we need to listen as well. But I'd be interested to see how the brand is doing, and I'm sure it's doing very well.
It's supposed to be the American Rolls-Royce, and they have a very interesting model because it's all about D2C, which many, let's say, new players and non-legacy players are trying to adopt as a distribution model. And they don't want to hold any inventory, right? So it's a very, very specific example.
Interesting.
But, ultra luxury electric vehicle, which, the first car, which I think is coming on the market in 2027, will be quite interesting.
But catered for women.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, probably not exclusively for women, but part of it mostly, yeah.
But, last year I was very lucky to meet a group of female customers, and it was so inspiring to listen to them. And one of them told me, she might recognize me, that for her lunch break, every day, she takes her car. She's got a classic Porsche. And every day she drives for half an hour. I mean, she drives in the Swiss Alps, so it's a very beautiful drive. And I just thought it really was inspiring because I fully understand why it could bring you pleasure to do that. So I do think that we can speak to many women, and we can be a very strong brand as well. And we do.
And as you mentioned, of course, we're talking globally. There are markets where the portion of female customers already
absolutely
buying is way above the 40-50%.
Absolutely.
And so it's more logic of course, catering to each market in which you operate.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. We quickly touched upon the definition of new retail formats. And I think if we can all project ourselves into this very traditional car dealership, which is, let's say, at first sight, mostly transactional, and I'm talking about not just automotive, not just luxury automotive, but any car brand that we've been visiting, as consumers. I was just referring to sort of new players on the market, Tesla, of course, Lucid Motors,
yes,
Rivian as well, who have adopted that direct-to-selling, that direct-to-consumer distribution to truly own that retail experience. My question to you is, how do you transform these traditional car dealerships? And I'm talking here, not just at the scale of Porsche, but in this industry, into truly experiential spaces, and both from a service, but also an architectural point of view.
So we started this exercise a while back, and I would, in my personal belief, would say that we are a bit of a benchmark in the car industry with the retail formats we have on offer. But I also want to highlight that we need to cater for different people. So some customers want the experiential retail environment, and others really just want to get their cars and go. So we need to cater for different needs. So some of the showrooms you mentioned, we have updated that a while back. We have what we call Destination Porsche, where there is a hospitality area and other aspect of car discovery. But they are showrooms, and they are very attractive to our core customers. And at the same time, we also are creating different formats to perhaps attract those who prefer something more experiential, a discovery, something a little bit different, where they would not be intimidated in crossing that door. So we need to really think about a vast type of customers that we are really trying to reach out to. And it's not just one size fits all. And that's really important to us, to be true to our core customers, but also continuously to evolve. And the studio that I mentioned earlier is in inner cities, We really try to have a moment of discovery for customers, especially new ones. So there is a moment of really a pleasurable discovery into the brand, and make it as easy as possible for them to cross that door, as they will see that we are really welcoming when you cross that door.
All the way to really create sort of a community hub where customers can come into the dealership, meet with some important business partners if they wish, and
Yes.
do some co-working if they hit a city for a few
Yes.
hours before taking their...
And we have Porsche experience centers where it actually caters for experiences. And I don't want to say something wrong. I think we have over almost 10 of them around the world. And don't quote me on that, but something quite close to this. And these experience centers that goes from the US to Japan are truly a place to meet partners, team building, but also for the car fanatics, for the sports car fanatics that can go on the race course and have some fun. So we really believe in experiences, but it's also about what is our point of difference, which is also the driving pleasure.
Of course. I want to, being a training expert, right? You've been in learning and learning and development for quite some time. You certainly have a perspective on the skills that we need in those points of sales, in those dealerships. Should we own them or should they be operated by a partner? We've seen certain brands going quite bold in the recent years. And I have one example in mind with that one brand which decided to hire only people who had no automotive background to give a breath of fresh air to the experience, to maybe deconstruct some habits in that old fashioned maybe selling experience. And some examples to this could be, interesting experiments. Some could be difficult in execution, right?
Yes.
My question to you is, what are the skills that we need and what profiles of sales consultants do we need in the dealerships to cater to today's consumer and the one that is evolving?
I think we need, and we have already updated our program of the type of job skills that we need in retail. We need to be empathic. We need to be listening. We need to be inquisitive, ask questions. And, perhaps for some years, it was in the car industry a moment where we were perhaps distributing cars. Now we really need to listen to customers and adapt and personalize. So these are the skills that we would be looking at, which are the soft skills. And yes, in the fashion industry, perhaps that's a little bit more important, but you also need the hard skills. You need to know what you're selling, and the product knowledge is extremely important. You really need to also love what you're selling. So the expertise, I would say, is equally as important as the soft skills. You want to be talking to somebody who knows what they are talking about. So product knowledge, being really inquisitive about what they're talking about, I think is important. You want to be advised by experts, right? So I would say the knowledge with the soft skills together are going to be more important than ever. Just the hard skills, just the knowledge is no longer possible. You need both sides. And we have that. We are evolving. I've seen that, and it's certainly not in the last few years. It's been going on for quite a while. And I have seen some unbelievable salespeople in the car industry. Unbelievable. So I would say both sides are important.
And how do you manage to influence that, again, in your distribution that you do only partly control, right?
I would say our distribution business is really a good one because we have unbelievable retail partners. So our distribution model works really well. And the way we work is years of loyalty and partnership with them, and delivering the support system that they need, whether it's the tools, the qualification, the training, as a support system. And our partnership works very well like that. So it is different to fashion where it's indirect, but there are other ways to do it. And that distribution model for us works very well. And we are able to do what we have to do. So it's not a deterrent for us, at least. We offer training, some of which are needed and compulsory, may I say, and others that are optional. And we work very well with our business partners and retail partners to make them happen because they could see the benefit in doing so. You know, it is really the partnership. And we are very lucky to have very strong partnerships.
And on this topic, and I think you will agree that it's the same in fashion, everything starts with the right hiring systems and approach, right? You mentioned attributes such as empathy, curiosity, beyond those hard skills. If you don't, attract sales consultants with these genuine pleasure to get to know strangers,
Yes,
to be empathetic, to be a team player in the
yes,
automotive in the dealership, you might pour every training of the world. It's a lot harder to achieve that client experience down the line.
absolutely. And but that's something that has been evolved for many years, and even before my arrival, it is important to get people that have the right mindset. And truthfully, the majority of salespeople, whether it's selling cars or handbags of that level, luxury, usually would have that anyway. Because in order to do that job, you really need to listen. Admittedly, we need to reinforce the active listening part because you need to get to know your customers, because you need to personalize even more than before. Our customers are very knowledgeable around the world. So just to know is not enough. Just to deliver is not enough. We need to exceed expectation. And as such, you need to active listen. You need to ask relevant questions, and you need to know your customer base and really offer a personalized service. So there is continuously evolution in the way the recruitment is done. That's done locally to get the right profile. And we also have a program of what type of job roles we expect as well to have. For example, a few years ago, we started having hosts in our dealerships. Yes, absolutely. That's one example. We have Porsche pros that are really
So for
there.
the host role, typically, you do not necessarily need someone with an automotive technical background.
Not necessarily.
And you might hire someone from the hospitality industry.
Absolutely. Okay. And we have many dealerships that have gone to different fields to recruit those people.
Which fields would you say are
hospitality fields? Hospitality
and that
field.
fashion to automotive in the sales advisor role is not happening at the moment, or
I would say the product knowledge is key. You know, often some of these skills can be transferred. You know, if you're a good salesperson, you're a good salesperson. But you also need to have a passion for what you're selling. You need to understand the product. It is really important. So it could only work on either side if there is a passion and a knowledge of the product. Similarly, in fashion, ready-to-wear, which is really quite complex to sell ready-to-wear luxury, you cannot just sell it. You need to understand the body morphology. You need to understand styling. You need to understand about fashion, about haute couture, about colors. These are skill sets that are really needed, that are beyond the soft skill. And similarly, in the car industry, you need to know about the product. You need to know about what is behind the carrosserie and the design, because our customers know. So we need to be a step further. So that's the only time where I would say just the transfer skill is not going to be enough. You also need the knowledge, or at least the passion to learn.
Very good. Maryam, for the last 30 minutes or so, we've been talking about a new paradigm for client experience in the automotive industry, new skills, new distribution models, a new customer, and that continuous imperative to be more client-centric, right? In an industry where the client journey is very scattered, right? Because you don't buy a luxury car the same way you buy a lipstick, needless to say. According to Dealer Smart, before buying a car, the average automotive buyer goes through about 62 touch points. You know that we have a certain passion at CXG for measuring the effectiveness of the experience received in each of those touch points. My question to you, especially as you still maybe have this fresh pair of eyes in this industry, how do you effectively measure and monitor that client engagement across, all those touch points in terms of KPIs, emotional impact, and loyalty?
It is very, very important. And, we often speak about this. It's extremely important to keep your finger on the pulse, to understand what our customers are saying. We have different ways. We have surveys, which some may call NPS. It's not really NPS, but it is something similar to that. We have external ways to evaluate, internal ways to evaluate through our customer engagement program, where we also ask customers, but also visitors, how the experience was. We also evaluate our touch points that are the customer contacts, so even the phone calls or emails. So there are different ways to do it. Mostly internal, but we also look at external feedback. And through that, we can read a pattern and understanding what we do well, but also continuously what are the opportunities, how we need to improve. And I would say it is absolutely vital to continuously look at client engagement evaluation constantly. Never be complacent. And we know that the world is moving fast and behaviors are changing. So we need to really listen to what is happening, to evaluate and understand a pattern on seeing the opportunities. And then when we understand, we can improve that, hopefully be a step ahead. That's the aim anyway.
And anything specific in the industry in terms of, again, that distribution model we spoke about and the necessity to use that feedback to maybe influence change. And again, not specifically talking about Porsche, but within the sector to influence that change.
So many of the car industry, including ours, we have internal customer evaluation, which we call customer excitement, because we want to exceed, which is internal. We have Apex, our program that is about accelerating the Porsche customer experience, and really through evaluation of what the customer is saying through different touch points. We have also external factor like Google reviews that we look at. So we don't look at just one aspect, but we are actively looking at customer insights because it teaches us a lot. It really does. We learn a lot through that. You know it better than I do, the importance of it. And we evaluate the behavior, not just processes. We need to look at the behavior and the relationships. And I would say perhaps this is one aspect that has evolved in the last few years, where we're not just looking at processes and procedures, but also at the relationship. And that is really important. We know that relationship is really important. So.
Talking about relationships.
Yes.
There's a concept which the fashion industry maybe places top of the agenda at the moment, which is clienteling.
Yes.
I was surprised to see that actually clienteling is still not a proper word in the dictionary.
It never spells right.
Exactly. So the autocorrector usually finds a typo or a spelling mistake. So clienteling as a concept, but also as a culture.
Yes.
Maybe again as a concept, maybe fairly new in the automotive industry rather versus fashion. Again, the principles behind clienteling, which is to nurture that customer relationship way before a purchase and way after the car delivery. How do you create, I guess, that culture in the automotive sector again across an array of partners and dealers?
So the concept, I would say, exists.
Yeah.
The name is new. The concept exists because many dealerships have got a strong relationship with their customers, and they have it, and they've had it for years. You do build a relationship with your dealerships across years and years, and that's how we've created amazing loyalty. And we have around the world, I believe, one of the strongest communities in the world, thanks to our retail partners. But perhaps where the difference is one, the name. The word clienteling is absolutely foreign in the car industry. And also what the difference is making it even more personal. The slight difference is not actually the distribution model. is the fact that you don't just speak to one person, and you've kind of mentioned it, simply due to the complexity of it. You would speak to your client advisor, you would speak to your after sales advisor, and you may even speak to somebody else from assistance if unfortunately you break down.
Maybe financial services, right?
Absolutely. Financial services, you're absolutely right, are very important partners to us. So it's not just one-to-one.
Yeah.
I would say that perhaps this is where the slight difference is. But we are really aiming to strengthen that and strengthen. One, we need to minimize these touch points so the customer really feels at least there's only a few touch points. And also strengthening the personalization part. This happens even perhaps more personally as opposed to having a program. We need to make it less ad hoc and make it more global. So this personalized approach becomes more a reflex. But I've been really humbled by what I've seen since I've started. Only a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking to one of our retail partners, and they were telling me they have this program called Customer for Life, which ultimately is what clienteling is.
Yeah.
But it's called differently. And I was really touched by what they were saying. Amazing partners. Every day there is somebody who writes the birthday cards, which sounds a little bit unpersonable, but they actually do it remembering some of the points of that customer. That truly is what clienteling is about. But they name it differently.
Yeah.
And perhaps it's not global yet. Our aim is to really strengthen that and personalize it more. We have some tools we are offering to our retail partners, a customer management system that is continuously getting better to support that relationship.
Yeah. Would you say, I mean, there's an interesting McKinsey figure about the fact that I believe nearly 90% of car customers say that their after-sales experience at their dealer will determine whether they will purchase again from that dealer. So would you say that clienteling in this industry boils down also to managing those after-sales moments, which I think as customers we can relate, can be pretty painful. And how do you, what's your vision on really making this, on elevating, I would say, the standards of after sales, which I would say that globally speaking, not just in the automotive industry, but in fashion, watches, is usually one of, let's say, the pain points in any given customer journey.
The after sales is an absolute vital point of loyalization. And you're absolutely right in saying that. I think the first touch point, your sales consultant or advisor, is very important. And truthfully, you should have a relationship with them and build a long-term relationship. And we see that. But the after sales as well is extremely important. I'm perhaps biased on that, but I would say we have unbelievable after sales advisors around the world that genuinely care, that pay attention to details. And we have a whole program in continuously strengthening that. The little touches that make the difference, having a personalized card in the car, or making sure the seat is adjusted to the customer when they pick it up. So we are absolutely reinforcing those details also in the after sales, and we have genuinely some amazing partners around there. So it's not a challenging time, but it's actually a pleasurable time for the customer. That's our aim and ambition anyway. And listening to our customers, we by no way say that it's all perfect, but we hear some very positive feedback from our after sales team. And they really do offer some of the best services I've seen in the world. So their aim is really making it a good moment.
Yeah.
And I think that the majority of the time we manage to do that. But this loyalization is absolutely happening with the after sales team as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Care and empathy
absolutely
is a pretty needed skill
absolutely
at this very moment.
Yes, it is really important. And I think they're doing a great job. They have very strong training that are offered to them. not only on the technical part, which is very important, obviously, but also on that relationship with the customers. For those who are customer facing, obviously, not all of them are customer facing.
Yeah.
But yes, the attention to detail is important.
I want to piggyback on two concepts. You spoke about loyalization and you spoke about communities.
Yes.
And we live in a world where brand loyalty might be fading away, hopefully not with Porsche. And some brands are resisting stronger, also thanks to that community, which is a bit of an overused concept. But when it's user generated, when it's genuine, the emotional switching cost of leaving that community of car owners, of brand lovers, beyond the product is, of course, significant, right?
Yes.
One of the very famous examples, because you can see them on the road, is the Harley-Davidson Owners Group. There are about 1 million people across the world that do rallies, that have rides together, and of course, those create amazing sense of community. You mentioned just now that Porsche has one of the largest community also globally, very passionate, certainly.
Yes.
How can a car brand truly leverage that power for loyalty, for maybe expanding its consumer base?
We have one of the, if not the, strongest community around the world. We have over 700 clubs in the world, over that. And they, as you mentioned, it was created by the people, not by us, truly coming from the passion for the brand. And this notion is not new. We're talking decades. Some of them are over 50 years old. So it really is amazing to see how it was created through the passion of the people around the world. Today, it is more important than ever to have this community. And we offer a lot to cater for that community, to pamper them, to look after them, to partner with them as well around the world. We have a lot to learn from them, and their passion is really contagious. If anything, I think the fashion world could also learn from that because it's the people that create that. It's not the brand. Obviously, the brand strength creates that passion, which results in these clubs around the world. So I think that sense of community is very important today. People do want to feel a sense of belonging. And here, with our particular brand, the sense of belonging is through the passion there is for the brand. But what is really touching is you could see people of all backgrounds getting together. I've been very lucky to go to some of them. And it's really not pretentious. It's very open. It's very authentic. And people from all walks of life gather together for the same passion. That is really powerful. Whether it is the big CEO to the person who had to save to get his first car, they get together all on the same line. And it really, really is something powerful to watch and important for every brand.
And what is I guess some of those communities were established by the community members themselves, right?
The majority
without the brand.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of follow them, nurture them without, of course, stepping on their toes?
So the product that we have on offer is always one that is continuously catering for this passion, but is but predominantly autonomous, independent. We often partner with them in some events. We had recently in one of my favorite places in Dubai, a very resilient market that is always very strong. We had many of our communities gathering there for the Icons of Dubai as one example, but there are so many. So sometimes they gather in the event we create, sometimes it's fully independent from the events that we create, but the partnership is strong. And we love to cater and continue to nourish those relationships with them.
And I think, as you rightly said, this is something that the fashion brands are trying to build as well. Probably a bit more difficult because you maybe don't have that experiential product that you have within the car industry, with maybe the exception of outerwear brands,
Yes.
which are leveraging this
With
idea of
sports.
exactly sports
Absolutely, yeah.
and gathering, you know, in the outdoor, and but probably a bit more challenging for, you know, the more established luxury fashion players out there.
Yes. And perhaps as well the nature of what we do, which is sports car. Sports car also triggers a feeling of being a collector. So you become almost obsessed a little bit with what we have, and that also triggers more of a wish to be together and have the passion. So the type of customers that like that tend to also really be attracted to this idea of being a collector, and really they know often more details than we do.
They are the archives of
Absolutely.
the brand.
Yeah,
And
it is really humbling to listen to them. And to see the passion we trigger around the world is amazing. As a matter of fact, you told me what was the feedback when I started, or when I was transitioning myself from the fashion to the car industry. And you would be surprised of how many of my friends called me saying, you know, I used to have a poster when I was a little boy of the car, and it's my dream car. And then later in life, they managed to get it. And it wasn't just a rare incident. It was many people telling me this. So it is almost organic.
Yeah.
We trigger these passion in people. And the way we need to continuously cater for that is to bring quality product and be genuine and authentic to ourselves.
Great. As part of our, let's say, last chapter of our conversation today, Maryam, I want to speak about the biggest revolution that will arrive in the car industry, and I'm sure keeps you awake at night. Electrification, which of course has been is something we see on the roads and that we experience for quite some time already, and autonomous driving, as well as AI at large and all its possible applications in the vehicle. This is deeply changing the product itself. How will it change the experience? If you have to do a test drive with an autonomous driving vehicle, I assume the test drive experience might be a bit different than the one you design today for a car you're supposed to drive, right? So how do you see these mega trends, which again are very tangible today, going to impact client experience?
So we continuously evolve, and we are offering different products. And we have just now we are launching the new Cayenne Electric as one example. And by the way, what a beast of a car it is. And I think I told you that separately. You should try it. So we continuously offer novelty and newness with products that are also electric, as well as hybrid and combustion engine, because it depends on your customers. So what we do is to also offer different products, because there is an evolution, and maybe it's even a revolution. And we are continuously looking at the future as well. We are a brand that lives with heritage and innovation. So we are also looking at it. We have great partnership for a charging network as well, because it's not just about electrification. You also need to have the infrastructure to support, and we are also offering that. So, so we are looking at it, and we are not complacent thinking it's not going to happen. It is, but we're doing it our way, offering sports car that are electric and offering the right infrastructure for it, whilst we also want to continue to nurture the customers who prefer still a combustion engine. You mentioned autonomous driving, and that is happening, and AI is fast forwarding. We have also these aspects in our cars, and that aspect will continuously grow and improve. But perhaps it's my personal belief. I believe that you will still cannot replicate the pleasure of driving with AI. So I think that having functions such as autonomous driving will be important in the future, and we will have that. We already have that, and we will continuously improve that. But the pleasure of driving, for those who want that, will remain, in my belief. I think this is what we need to continuously also strengthen, is the fun of driving for those who wish to have that. So I think, as you mentioned at the beginning, it's not just one size fits all. There are different needs. So what my advice would be is to continuously evolve, continuously innovate, continuously look in the future, but also look at what is our USP.
Yeah. I mean, if we go back just to electrification, and I will certainly react also on autonomous driving, which is such a fascinating topic. With electrification, I imagine a sports car brand like yours, how do you play on that emotional effect of the engine sound, which you can't really play on with an electric car, right? I certainly have to play on other emotional anchors that you create for the customer and to create that wow effect. How do you see this, again, not just in the context of Porsche, but
I mean, it's a very valid point, but speaking about the Cayenne Electric, which is being imminently launched, that sound can also happen. And I was lucky enough to test it a couple of weeks ago. And you forget, when you put that sound, you forget it's electric. So you have all the benefit of an electric car, which also is the power of electric car, because an electric car is high in performance. I did the launch control and it's absolutely mind-blowing. But should you wish to, you can also have that sound, which doesn't sound gimmicky and it sounds real, and you forget that it's non-electric. So that option is also possible for those who miss that sound. And for those who prefer the silence of an electric car, there is also that option.
And that's being client-centric.
Absolutely. It's about being client-centric. But you have to try that Cayenne Electric.
I will. I will. And as soon as it's available. Right?
Very soon.
Great. Just to close and just to continue a bit to ignite a little bit our projection, let's put our visionary hats for a second. What could be that automotive client experience in 2040, in 2050? Which AI and data applications do you see truly transformative for the client experience in driving a car or just enjoying your car ride because you are in an autonomous driving vehicle? What are the how would you, let's say, differentiate the noise of the moment and the projections from what will truly happen?
I don't know in 2050, I don't know if I can look that far, but definitely in the next 10 years, we know that AI is going to change many aspects of everyday life, including the car industry. And we are continuously improving, bringing new tools, not only for the car itself, but also the infrastructure, the tools we bring to our retailers to be even closer to our customers. And that will not stop. It will continue. Maybe a sense of immediacy will be even stronger. We'll have customers who are even more knowledgeable. That means that we need to be more knowledgeable. I may be naive, but I do believe that the relationship with a human being will actually still be very important, if not more than ever. So we should reinforce that empathy, relationship, knowledge that a sales advisor and after sales advisor should bring. And in terms of the ecosystem, it will evolve. It will evolve. Perhaps we will have more location in inner cities, but I do think that there will still be different demands for different customers. And that is key, to continuously listen, be agile, be flexible, to adapt. But again, starting with what I said at the beginning, it is so important to be authentic because customers get it.
Yeah.
And it's important to be genuine in what we do.
They can't be fooled.
They can't be fooled. They can't be fooled.
Maryam, thank you very much. This was a very inspirational sharing. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
On the Luxury Edit.
Thank you.
It's very clear some super exciting developments are in the making for the automotive industry. And I think we will witness them, in our living, which is exciting.
It is.
It's no longer science fiction. So if you have liked this episode, please share it, like it. And until our next episode of the Luxury Edit, Take care.